Vayechi. We're resuming from where we left off, more or less. Today we want to treat and understand the second bracha of Yaakov to Yosef's sons. By doing so, finishing the parak, and then temporarily skipping the next chapter and dealing with the passing away of Yaakov. Hopefully, God willing, tomorrow we'll get into part of the blessings to the certain tribes and sons of Yaakov. It's clear to us that Ephraim is given preferential treatment. We saw this already yesterday. Yaakov, the father, the grandfather, knows that who's the Bechor? Menachem is the Bechor. In spite of that, we see that Ephraim, according to Rashi, someone greater will come out of him more than Menachem. And who is that? Yehoshua. Let's pronounce it again.
Yehoshua.
That's right. Yehoshua. He'll be the chief of staff, the Gadol BaTorah, that was the chief disciple of Moshe Rabbeinu. And he will lead the Jewish, he will be getting this preferential bracha to be called first because of the greatness. Let's go to the second bracha, Pasuk 20, Kaf. Vayivarchem bayomahu lemor. And he blessed them. Do you see the them at the end of the first word of verse 20? Vayivarchem.
Sorry, can you, what chapter, sir?
I'm not going to be sorry. 48. Vayivarchem is instead of saying Vayivarech otam. Did you get that? Vayivarchem. Vayivarchem bayomahu lemor becha. Interesting. Becha. Yivarech Yisrael lemor. Yisimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chimnasheh. Vayasem et Ephraim lefnei Menachem. Some of you get that bracha from your dad. Some of you, God willing, shortly will be doing this to your children on Shabbat night, like Reuven shared with us. Is there a word that you would like to share a difficulty or raise a question? Let's just say it's after the first four words. Which word should raise an eyebrow as your Hebrew is getting better and better? It says, Vayivarchem bayomahu lemor becha, in you. Yivarech Yisrael lemor.
Oh, I do have a question.
Which word?
So it's is it are you referencing the dot over the becha?
No, that's a cantillation sign, that diamond.
Okay, becha is not the word.
First of all, Vayivarchem.
Plural.
He's blessing them.
Mm-hmm.
So which word should also take the plural form?
One would think bechem.
It should be very good. Bachem instead of becha. Does everyone see that in Pasuk 20? Okay.
Yes.
I like to show it to my friend.
We're 82 in that
I'm
one.
writing this for the previous year.
Only you can do that, not anyone else.
He's
Look
like
at this.
memorized the previous year.
I know, he's amazing. You see the word becha? In you. Be is in me. Becha is you. Bachem is you, plural. Banu is in us. Here, this gentleman just raised the question, Russell. It should state Bachem in you. In you meaning, what's the name of the two boys? Ephraim and Menachem. Why? Because this is Vayivarchem and he blessed them. So why does it say Becha? It should be in you, plural.
It's interesting. The English translation has them in it.
Really?
Yeah, in this one that I'm reading.
Maybe, are you reading the correct word?
Yes, it's
So
becha.
he blessed them that day.
No, but he blessed them is correct in the beginning of the post. That's what I'm afraid that he's reading.
Oh yes, sorry.
We caught you, Mr.
got it.
Resnick. Be
Sorry.
careful before you raise these questions.
Oh, sorry.
Don't do it again.
Sorry. So can we just roll back?
Roll back. We're now starting the show.
So
Vayivarchem, and he blessed them. Yaakov is blessing them referring to the sons of Yosef. Bayom mahu lemor, and then he says, Becha, in you. What's the answer to the question? Okay, let's just play again a game. Yes, what?
I have what's the siman?
That's a cantillation sign. It's a cantillation
This one
sign.
right here.
Yeah, let's play a game right now.
Oh, so I was actually, but
What?
I was correct. But like the English says, so he blessed them.
That's correct. Vayivarchem
But then
is
it
the
says
first
you.
word.
Here, you here.
I see.
So this you is this becha right here.
Yaakov.
This is a singular.
Yaakov.
Yes.
Don't do it again.
Why is this is a plural, but this is a singular? That's the question he's raising.
Gotcha. Yes, I know. I'm
Aren't you happy that we have patience?
yes, very.
I thought we'd be throwing things at you. Things at me.
Absolutely. Yes.
You still throwing things somewhere.
Listen, we're going to play a little game here. Again with Renan and Russell. You're the younger. He's the older. You're now in the aftermath. You hear? Mr. Menachem, did you hear this? Your brother, your grandpa just put his right hand on him and not you. How do you feel?
Very hurt. I'm offended.
Okay, so that's Russell, but is that what we're reading here? That's the game I'm playing. I'm asking you.
Okay.
How does Menachem feel? Any comments? No comments.
Well, it doesn't. What does the oral Torah say?
So this is the point here. Yaakov Avinu, the grandfather, is amazed at the midot, the great character traits of his two grandchildren. And he's so impacted that, on the one hand, Mr. Menachem is not insulted, is not hurt. On the other hand, this gentleman here, Mr. Ephraim, your head is not swelling. You're not showing off. You're not, you're not bragging to the entire, well, look what I got. This is one of the meanings that one of the great commentaries explains. Yeah, I've said that by my father-in-law. Yaakov is impacted by the great midot of his two grandchildren. One is not jealous of the other is not gloating about himself. And what do they have instead? What are they showing instead? What?
Humble.
Humility, unity. They're showing fraternity between one another. The two brothers are like one unit. They're like one unit. To the extent that Yaakov, in the opening of the bracha, instead of saying bachem, in you, plural, everyone should bless their children, he says becha, in you, in a singular, as if you are one unit. Remember what we said yesterday? That these two, one of the reasons why they deserve to be blessed is because they're superstars. They grew up in the most terrible place for Hebrew education, for values of Torah, and yet they're coming out so refined in such great midot, such great belief. So they're such great tzaddikim, they're such great having fear of heaven, so therefore, becha, in the singular. Okay, let's get to the content. Yivarech Yisrael lemor. Okay? Every Jew, every Yisrael, this is what it means. It's a prophecy. Every Jew in the future called Yisrael, he's going to say to his children, Yisimcha Elokim. It's a bracha, but it's a request. Let me ask you something. Take out your wallet.
No, I don't got it on me.
Okay, take out your wallet. Let me ask you. Now, don't open it up. Don't open it
How
up.
much you want?
Let me ask you the following question. When God blesses us, it's clear He's the source of all blessing. When you bless your friend Yaakov Resnick, who are you to give blessings? Do you have money in your wallet? You can give a blessing. What does it mean when a fellow Jew
Here's some tzedakah.
gives another Jew, a friend, a bracha? What does it mean?
Here's tzedakah.
Well, they both benefit.
It's a prayer. When I want to bless you, when I want to give you a blessing, who am I to give you a blessing? The understanding is I'm praying to God, who's the source of all blessing. Will He greet you? Will He give you this bracha? That's what it means. Do you understand? That's what it means here. It's not because he has money in his pocket so he can bless you. Who is he? Who are you? Answer.
Moshe.
I know, but are you the source of blessing? No, you're the recipient of bracha.
Okay,
And
but
you
I
give it to
bless
others.
the tzedakah.
But what does it mean? When you're not blessing, you're blessing him. You're asking Hashem to give him this and give him that. That's what basically we're asking. That's what it means here. When a Jew wants to bless his children, he says, Yesimcha Elokim. May God place upon you Ephraim v'chem Menashe. Meaning, may you, the children, may you grow up. May be God's will that you grow up to be like an Ephraim and like a Menashe. And why? Because they're special. They're not like Yaakov's children that grew up in the land of Canaan and Hebron and other places under Yaakov's tutelage with, living by themselves without the Canaanites interceding in their lives. Here, everywhere where you turn, Yosef has Egyptians, friends coming in with all their culture that can mess you up. Okay. And Vayasam et Ephraim lefnei Menashe. And again, we see here in this prayer that he places Ephraim before Menashe because he knows that from Ephraim will relate to the spiritual leadership of the Jewish people, and that comes first. We're now up to the last two psukim here of our of the parak. Vayomer Yisrael, yes.
So Yaakov Avinu dies in Paradise.
We didn't get to that, sir.
So he's going to die.
We will get to that, sir.
He doesn't die, actually.
We'll get to that, sir. Pasuk 21.
And if you're-
Vayomer, follow the reading. 21. Where are you? Vayomer Yisrael Yosef, Hine Anochi Meit. He senses he's about to die. Vaya Elohim imachem, ve'shivitchem. Okay. Al Eretz Avotechem. After two blessings, we notice the two blessings. Let's just sum it up before we go forward. Saba, Grandpa Yaakov Avinu, the first blessing to the children of Yosef was a material blessing. V'yidgu larov b'kerev haaretz, may they multiply and grow like amidst the country, where they're going to do it in the merit of Avram Yitzchak, to give the thanks to them. And the second blessing we said is Yaakov is adding a tefillah and asking, may everyone be like Ephraim and Menashe. Let their super success can be given over to your children as well. That's what we're looking for. And I saw that my father writes, why is the second blessing? Why wouldn't it be enough for the first blessing? Because that's partly what we just said before. Yaakov sees that the grandchildren are not moping, no one's complaining, and no one's bragging. And there's so much deserving even of further blessing because of the great midot. That's why he comes in and gives them a second blessing. Now, let's go to the end of the chapter. Again, you see the concern of the galut. How do we see the concern of the galut? Yaakov is so concerned. What does he say to his son Yosef? Vaya Elokim imachem. Look at me. Ve-ha-ya. The word haya means the verb lihiyot, to be.
Haya is was.
Was. And now,
Haya is
ve-haya
makes it future tense.
very
Will.
good. The vav hayipuch, the vav turns the past and the future to the future, or the future to the past. Vehaya, do you see it? Vaya Elokim imachem. May God be with you. Why? You're going to need it. Because the galut is not a nice place.
Yes.
And one more, the end of the blessing. Ve'shivetchem el eretz avotechem. You get a return trip ticket. You're going to come back. It's going to take hundreds of years. Do you remember? It's not going to happen right now, yes?
Wouldn't the classical Hebrew in the Tanakh have the imperfect and perfect tenses rather than past, present, and future tenses?
I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about in English.
You're a rough.
You can
He's a Rav. He's not a linguist.
Thank you.
I know. What you're
Pasuk
saying,
22.
Hirsch.
What's going on? We're going on. We have a lot of work to do. Yes.
So, question about. You're getting to. You haven't even done 22. So let me wait.
Let's read it together. Va'ani. Renan, who's Va'ani here?
Yeah.
Very good. Va'ani natati lecha. I gave you Shechem achad al achecha. Asher lakachti miyad ha'emori b'charbi u'v'kashti. Yaakov talking to who, Thomas?
He's looking to yourself.
And I took, natati lecha, I'm sorry, I gave you Shechem achad al achecha. What do you think the word Shechem means, Mr. Resnick?
Well, Shechem is the place.
Okay, one meaning is the city called Shechem.
Yes.
What is another meaning to the word Shechem achad?
What is the portion?
A portion. Shechem is a portion. Let's go for the second meaning first. Who gave one portion? Now tell me the meaning of the word al achecha. How do we define the word al?
Over your brother.
Above. On.
Above. Meaning more than? Is that what you mean when you say above?
Possibly be. Yeah.
Okay. So it means more than your brothers. What does he mean?
You're my favorite.
You, Yosef, you're my favorite. I gave you what?
The best that I.
2 portions.
2 portions, one more than
Everybody else.
Shechem Echad. Repeat those 2 words, which means one.
One portion.
Al achecha.
On.
What does it mean on?
Over your brothers.
What is over? More than. Okay, is that clear to everyone? I gave you one more portion than your brothers. Yosef indeed is getting the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bechor.
The Bechorah. You're getting the Bechorah portion, the firstborn portion, the Bechorah. He's not the Bechor, but he's getting the Bechorah. Right? Is that correct? We'll get to your meaning in a moment, right now. What city did you talk about?
Shechem.
How do you know Shechem?
No, it's written right there.
In English or Hebrew?
Both.
I'm hoping you're reading in
Is it
Hebrew.
written in English?
Asher lakachti, I took. Who is I?
Yaakov.
Who?
Yaakov.
Yaakov. Miyad Amori, from the hands of the Amorites. Umiyad bicharbi, with my cherev. What's a cherev?
A sword.
A sword. Uvekashti. What's a keshet? Do you, when you see a keshet in the sky, do you recite a bracha?
Rainbow.
Right. Keshet.
Oh, that's
Cool. Say the word. Say it's cool.
That's Nito McQuino.
Okay.
So Keshet is rainbow and bow?
And in our pasuk, it means
Bow.
a bow, like a bow and arrow.
Bo, yellow, bo.
No, not that. Gentlemen, we're ready for Mr. Ruvain's question first, and then others.
Well, you kind of answered it.
Oh, disappointed. I thought you had
Ask it anyway. We want to hear
but
it.
does it mean both the city of Shechem and an
You know
extra
that there's
portion?
70 faces to the Torah.
Yes.
Let's
So-
exchange
And
catch
so, if it does mean the city of Shechem,
Yes.
why did they merit receiving the city of Shechem? Why is Shechem not Kiryat Arba right next to?
Yosef, answer his question. Answer his question.
Because that's the last place where
Yosef is
he was
Menachem and Ephraim. Where geographically is Menachem and Ephraim? Including the city of
Shechem.
Shechem. What city is it called again?
Shechem.
Shechem, right. The city of Shechem. Okay.
Where they
Who has a question here? Ani lakachti? Let's interview Yaakov Avinu again. Yaakov Avinu, how are you?
Well, it's going to be expected. Thank you.
Okay. You took Shechem with your sword and your bow?
In a sense, yes. Yes.
What sense?
Metaphorical?
What do you mean?
through his sons. Sorry.
The question. No, first, raise the question. Raise the question. You're giving an answer, but raise the question. What is the question?
Yaakov itself fight there?
Did Yaakov fight and kill the people in Shechem? Yes or no?
No.
Who did it?
Sons.
Who?
The sons.
Shimon and Levi.
Shimon and Levi. Let's now interview Yaakov Avinu. How do you feel about your sons slaughtering the people that manage Shechem? How do you feel about that?
Quite proud.
That's not written in my chumash. Come on, Russell. What was this? What was Yaakov's resolve?
He was very disconcerted about it. He was worried that it would provoke the other people's anger around him.
Is there a problem with the father being proud of his children?
What did you do to me?
What did you do to me? Oh my gosh, they're gonna come and attack us. Remember yesterday we learned that. What's going on here? So first, we admire the point that you made, Reuven. Yes, we have two meanings to the word Shechem Achat. One meaning is another portion, and now the meaning, the city of Shechem. But we just raised a question. Question number one, Mr. Resnick, was it really Yaakov that took Meir? Second, I'm going to ask this gentleman here, Mr. Ariel, who's going to be a fighter, God willing, in the Israeli army. When will you use your cherev, and when will you use your keshet? What will be the difference in your weaponry? When will you use the cherev, and when will you use the keshet?
One is going to be for longer distance, another one's for close.
Excellent. Which one are you going to use for short distance? Which one are you going to use for longer distance? Just get up and go ahead.
What are the names again?
Cherev, a sword, and a keshet, and a bow.
Cherev is going to be for like close combat, and Keshet is for long distance.
Okay. Is that the order that's... What would be the order of fighting?
What to do what?
What will be the order when you fight? From short distance first or from long distance first?
Long distance.
So what's written here?
Both.
What?
Both.
The cherev is written first. But the cherev you said is for
Long distance and
the sword.
oh,
It's for short distance. So we now have another question. What's the question? Why does he say that I conquered what Shem with?
Sword and
With my sword and my keshet. It should be what order?
bow and sword.
My bow and sword. Do you all understand this question?
yeah.
Mr. Resnick, you with us?
Yes, yes, yes.
But they can be in the opposite way.
My dear friends,
Just,
I'm looking now in the Onkelos. I'm looking at Onkelos. Where's my katana? And Onkelos says, Becharbi uvikashti, bitzloti uvevauti. Bitzlot, with my prayers and with my requests. Cherev is translated by Onkelos as my saluta, my prayers, my tefillot. And keshet is not my bow, is my request before God. What's going on here? So, my dear friends, both Chazal and Onkelos saw the difficulty here, obvious difficulty. Yaakov was not interested in overcoming the city of Shem. That is obvious. But now we're going to learn what was behind the success of Shimon and Levi. Correct. Yaakov was not interested, and they didn't ask Yaakov. But the success of children is the parents not only trying to educate their children, but the parents praying their tefillot to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the success, for the development, for the refinement of their children. Yaakov Avinu, from this pasuk we can clearly understand, was often praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the educational development, the midot and character of his children. And the fact that when Shimon and Levi surprised the people in Shechem, and it said that he didn't even have a fight. It says, Vayavo betach. They came betach. Betach, there was not even a fight. There was nothing to put up with. When it came to Chamor, the son of Shechem, there was a fight. But what was that in merit of that they were able to overcome? Because of the tefillot, not the particular tefillah to kill the people in Shechem. Don't misunderstand. We saw Yaakov's reaction. But the fact that Shimon and Levi were able to do what they did, unheard of success, that was in merit of the cherev and keshet. What does Onkelos say is the cherev and keshet? The tefillot and the bakashot and the request before God. That's what we learn about parents that are so righteous. Parents that are so righteous and think of their children, pray to God. Add a special prayer every day for the benefit, for the health, for the success, for the further development of their children. That's what could it mean, the inverse order, Becharbi uvikashti. Yes.
Gratitude for the past and supplication for the future.
What's your question?
No, it's just my point. Does the tefillot are gratitude for the past and the bekashot?
No, the tefillot are for the future.
Okay, so supplication.
We can't change the past. Okay, Sarah, what was, right? We can't change the past.
Yep.
Okay? If you made an accounting mistake, so you can retroactively, make a financial difference and, and make a change financially. But spiritually, we know that what we did. What was. God does give us the process of tshuva. He gives us almost an eraser to erase the sin by doing tshuva and turning that negative energy into positive energy. So that's an interesting point that we see here regarding B'charbi V'kashti. Questions or comments? Renan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
No.
but about the combat.
The combat.
If you engage with a sword and they start to flee, so if they use a bow.
Okay, but what did you start first when you attacked them?
No, it's a bow, but in the end, can we also?
So you're right. But we're talking about the beginning. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Okay. For the rest of the time we have in our shiur, which is almost half, I want to skip right now this upcoming parak, which is the brachot of Yaakov Avinu, and let's turn to the passing away of Yaakov Avinu, namely Pasuk Nun, Parak Nun, chapter 50. I'm reading first the last pasuk of the chapter, the former chapter. Vayechi Yaakov litzavot et banav. He finishes commanding litzavot. You see the word litzavot? Who can put a finger there? Are you aware that the last will and testimony is a tzava'ah?
I'm sorry.
Tzava'ah.
We're at 50 pasuk 1.
Yeah, but I'm reading the last pasuk of the last chapter.
Oh.
Vayechi Yaakov litzavot et banav. He's finished giving his last will and testimony to his children. Okay. By the way, this will of course serve this last will and testimony, which is now ending here, about the clear instruction to be buried in Hebron, in Marat HaMachpelah, the same place where the Avot and the Imahot are buried. This will serve, of course, as an example at the end of this chapter, which is the end of Chumash Bereshit. We're coming to the finale, B'Shat Tovah, that so too will Yosef make a request from his brothers. He's going to die earlier. He's going to ask, may his bones be brought to burial. And so too, the Midrash says, the brothers' bones were also brought to Eretz Yisrael hundreds of years later, according to the Midrash. And this example of the last will and testimony of Yaakov Avinu serves as an example of the last will of Yosef, and as well as his brothers, even though we don't read about the brothers. We do read about Yosef. After he finishes giving the last will and testimony, what does he do? Vayesof raglav elamita. Vayesof raglav elamita. Can you tell me the position he was in when he was issuing the last will and testimony?
I'm assuming he was sitting on the edge of his
Very
bed.
good. He was sitting. Okay? He was sitting there. And now apparently he senses something very special is about to die. Let me just ask you a very solid question. Skip to the passing away of Yosef. Skip right now. Find the passing away of Yosef. You found it? Where is it? Let your fingers do the walking. Where do you see the passing away of Yosef and his last will and testimony?
Same chapter, Parak Chaf Dalet. Or Chaf Arba.
It's in the album.
That's right. Okay. And the burial of Yosef? He's put into a coffin.
A coffin.
All of this,
It says he was embalmed.
all of this takes place in one or two psukim. What about the description of the passing away of Yaakov Avinu and his burial? What is it? How long does it take place?
20.
A lot of psukim. So we clearly see a tremendous difference. As the book of Bereshit comes to its conclusion, it concludes with the passing away of Yosef, the embalming of him, putting him inside a Aron in Mitzrayim, and he's 110 years old.
What is
All of
embalming?
that, what
What is
we'll
embalming?
talk about it today.
Thank you.
All of this is inside one pasuk. Okay, 11 words inside that one pasuk, right? As opposed to this, when we talk about his father Yaakov, his passing away, the mourning of the nation, the Egyptian nation, the embalming, the funeral, the burial takes place over the course of a lot of psukim, 14 psukim. So let me ask you, right? These three gentlemen here are the Egyptian Commission for Public Relations. Let's ask them, who's the hero of the Hebrews? Yaakov or Yosef? What do you say, according to what you just read? 14 psukim about the passing away and embalming and embalming of him, of Yaakov. One pasuk about Yosef passing away and putting him into a coffin. Who's the hero?
Yaakov.
You're not on the commission. Who's on?
Yaakov, because a whole entourage went to his burial as well.
Wow. Isn't this amazing? Over the course of 14 psukim, we see in the eyes of the Egyptian people, the people that live here, it's not the son that saved the economic situation of Egyptian society that's been there and he's the viceroy, but rather it seems that Yaakov Avinu, he is the hero of Egyptian society. And what can we learn from this? Go ahead, say it.
That from the moment that he stepped foot in Mitzrayim, that's when the famine stopped.
That's right. Chazal say that. Once he arrived, there was no longer
Once
another-
Yaakov Avinu arrived.
there was not another 5 years of famine then.
It was only 2 years.
Yes.
So I'm looking here in Barak 50, Pasuk 11, and it says Jordan. Yeah, I have a question specifically
About what?
Jordan, Jordan. Who is Jordan?
What I'll tell you right after sure. Okay.
It could also be that Yosef raised the taxes, and
It could be.
20%.
Yes. Gentlemen, let's read. Go back to the beginning of the chapter. Vayipol Yosef. By the way, Yaakov puts his feet on the bed. Vayigva expires. Vayasaf elamav, and he gathers himself to his people. What people? In other words, here is what we believe in, that the nefesh continues to exist after the body expires. You see that?
9 days.
Vayigva, the
Which
nefesh.
pasuk?
The end of Pasuk Aleph. At the end of the last Pasuk of the former chapter. Vayigva vayasaf elamav. Our body does not remain, but here we see the nefesh remains, not for 9 days. The nefesh remains and remains. The reaction of Yosef Tzaddik, Pasuk Aleph, Vayipol Yosef al pnei aviv, he falls on his face of his father. Vayefkalav, he cries on him. Vayishaklo, and he even kisses him. And here we're getting into some problems because this is really not the behavior that is supposed to happen. Okay? It's not the behavior that's supposed to happen. Let's explain. We learned that Yaakov Avinu did an amazing, the beginning of the chapter 50.
Oh, 50, okay.
Yes. Let's go through the order of things that happen here. Yaakov finishes the last will and testament. He tells his sons exactly where he wants to be buried, how he's going to be buried, and so on and so forth. He could have told them more things, but it's not even written in the Torah. Afterwards, he picks up his feet onto his bed, and apparently this is his last words. He's now lying flat on his bed. And here we see that his passing away is explained in 2 stages. Number 1, Vayigva. Number 2, Vayasef. You see that in verse 33 again? Vayigva, meaning, as opposed to the passing away of Avram and Yitzchak, that is described in 3 stages. I repeat, when Avram dies and Yitzchak dies, 3 stages. Gvia, expiring, Mita, dying, and to be gathered or collected to the people. That's written by Avram and Yitzchak. Here we see 2 stages and 2 stages only. Vayigva, his body is expiring. That's apparently meaning that no longer is the neshama inside the body, whereas mita, okay, is clearly talking about what's not written here, is about the death of the cells, the tissues, and all of the bodily systems are stopping, which can now only cause decay in the body. The flesh will wither away. That's not written here by Yaakov. That is written by Avraham and Yitzchak. And the second stage, Asefa Elamav, apparently is referring to the neshama that is now left this world and is going now to the storage room of souls upstairs, okay, in a very worthy place where God has unlimited amount of souls, and he will go to its place, what is worthy, whatever he did in this world. In this world, he studied only in Rabbi Listman's class. So, for Chumash and Rashi. I also studied Mishnayot. I also studied Gemara. And you also studied Rashi on Gemara, and you studied Tosfot. Wow. So that's even a higher level of souls in the world to come. All depending on the investment, the function of our efforts in this world, will we be destined in the next world. That's what we see here. Now, here we see that Yosef doesn't control his emotions, and he even kisses his father, which these are things that we do not do. We don't touch the dead unless we have to move him, whatever. But we see here that he's kissing him. It's a very difficult time for Yosef, obviously.
Unless you're a Kohen or a Levi, then there's no exception.
No, we don't kiss the dead. We don't kiss the dead. We don't do this. We see here perhaps he doesn't control his emotions. And now he gets and makes an order. Let's read the order he makes in verse 2, 1 second. Vayitzav Yosef et avadav. He has plenty of servants, so he commands some of them. Et harofim, the doctors, what doesn't have to mean doctors, the people that deal with embalming. Lachanot et aviv. Vayichantu harofim et Yisrael. So we have something very unusual, and that's Yosef commanding something that we usually do not do, and that is embalming. But before we get...
What is embalming, sorry?
I'm about to explain.
Sorry.
I'm happy that you have patience. Before we get to the embalming, the fact that Yaakov Avinu, his presence in the land of Mitzrayim, how long was he there, did we say? 17 years. That's very good. He was there for 17 years, okay? And he lived a ripe old age until the age of 147. 47. Yaakov Avinu 147, 33 years. Yeah, right?
Younger than his father.
And that apparently, what you said in the name of the Midrash, Reuven, brought affluence, blessing to the Egyptian world until we see that his passing away is mentioned. It wasn't just on the obituary page of the Cairo Daily. It wasn't just, but it was all over. Okay, all of the Egyptian press, CBS, ABC, all the news stations were now talking about the passing away of the father of Yosef, Yaakov, and now starts something very unusual. Egyptian society begins to what? To cry. Let's read the next pasuk quickly. Vayimlu lo 40 yom, 40 days pass of embalming. Kichein yimlu yimei chadut. That's the process of 40 days. And then it says, Vayifku oto Mitzrayim. The Egyptian people, society, are crying. They're in a state of what we call lower the flag. What is it called? What's the official words they use to lower the cat? What is it called?
It's half staff.
Half what?
The flag is halfway up the pole. It's called being a half staff.
No, he's talking about when. Yeah.
Okay, they're lowering the flag, the Egyptian flag to half
Oh.
staff,
When someone passes them.
and everyone in Egypt is crying and in a state of mourning. This is a very unusual situation. A very unusual situation. That means that society of Egypt hit it off with Yaakov Avinu, and right now there's a national mourning system that you don't usually cry for a Hebrew for 70 days. Okay? And now the fact is, because like you said, the name of the Midrash, it's a Tosefta, which is in addition to Masechet Sotah, that at the arrival of Yaakov Avinu, the year stopped. So gentlemen, something very unusual is happening. So before we go to explain what is the Chanata, what is your question?
Was Yaakov mummified?
So let's start learning about Chanata. That's what we're going to learn about right now. Gentlemen, what is Chanita? In Egyptian society, they believe the body is most important and not the neshama. And they do whatever they can do in order to preserve the body. What they do usually after the death is open up the body, take out those parts of the body that will cause decay, to cause a terrible odor, and so on and so forth. And then instead, in those areas, they inject, okay, this is according to Egyptian science, all different types of spices into the body of the dead in order to harden the body, in order to preserve it and prevent decay from the body. This technique of embalming the bodies, the dead bodies in Mitzrayim, ancient Mitzrayim, was considered that time the most developed, the most sophisticated approach amongst everyone, amongst any other societies. And they did it to the VIPs of Egyptian society, the leaders of Egyptian society. And it was very much engraved in the hearts of Egyptian society that this is part of their culture. And they believed that who has the special personality? It's the body. And therefore, only the body is worthy of preservation. And we want to keep it just like he was at the time he passed away. And this they would do for thousands of years. Okay? And they were hoping and praying in their society that the soul will go back into that body. Okay? That's what they're praying for. So they believed that is indifferent than the body, that the soul of the deceased will roll and roll from one body to another body, to even animals. That's what they believed in, without any preservation of it, of giving it any uniqueness. It'll go into this body and then into another body and into that fox and into that squirrel. That's what they believed in. The neshama does not have any special uniqueness. We know, though, that the approach of Judaism is, give me a good word, the opposite. Absolutely the
Better.
opposite.
The best.
The opposite. It's not the body that is important. We know, according to Judaism, after, not while we're alive. While we're alive, there's a mitzvah to preserve hygienically, the best way we can, a healthy body. Why? Because this body is a container. A container for what?
Our souls.
Our soul. It's Tzelem Elokim, the divine image is in here. Therefore, we have to preserve our bodies, cleanse our bodies, protect ourselves, be healthy, oversee medical procedures that need to be done in order for what? Okay? To keep our bodies healthy and clean and so on. Yesterday, I had a special doctor's appointment in Shari Tzedek, and I went to the top of the row. I went to a professor, whatever, the head of a certain department, and I was very impressed with him. And I noticed his last name. I know this last name is a scholarly name of some scholar. I asked him straight out, "Are you related to Rabbi family?" I said, yes, that's my father's first cousin. And they're related back to the Hirsch family, that fellow Hirsch, whatever. So I see how scholarly people and modern science and medicine come even together.
Well, Rob, I can ask you: are you perhaps related to Rabbi Menachem Listman from Machon Meir?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I want to take care of him with God's help. So, gentlemen, we know that our bodies after we die have no significance. Once the neshama leaves our body, what will happen to the body inside the grave? What will happen to it?
Rot away.
It'll rot away. It'll rot away, and it'll rejoin its original source. Our body originally comes from
Adam.
Adama. Adam from the word Adama. Very good.
Adam
From the
Harishon.
earth of the world. So we have an objective to expedite or speedy the process of bringing the body back to its place. And one of you, I don't know, was it yesterday, said, I don't know who, someone sat here. You know, in Jerusalem, some of you know that there's a very special custom because of the holiness of Jerusalem, that we don't lodge, if that's the right word in English, we don't lodge the dead overnight. Have you heard of that custom?
Yes.
Correct. Can you explain? I'll elaborate.
Because of the holiness of the city of Jerusalem, there's a minhag. It's not written in Shulchan Aruch. It's a minhag that if someone dies, we bring them to burial even if it's in the middle of the nighttime. We don't wait for the next, unless it's very, very unusual circumstances. Why? Because we want to bring the body back to its original source in the earth so that it will return in the fastest way. As opposed to this, the neshama has the most importance. Okay? It has the greatest specialty and the most significant, more than, of course, than a man, than the body. And that is the neshama, is the ikar. What does the word ikar mean?
I don't know, but how it takes 9 days for the soul to leave the body.
I'm not talking about that.
It's
right
relevant to the.
now. I'm not talking about that right now.
Okay, it doesn't take someone else. I need to know.
I'll tell you and laugh.
No, right now. I need to know right now.
We should relax. Set it to.
I'll Google it then. You won't let me.
Ikar is the principle. The main part of man, gentlemen, is what you ascertained in this world spiritually. What you grew, how you left Texas and grew getting closer to God in Jerusalem and to the Jewish people. The spiritual attainments that we got in this world are the most important. As a result, in Judaism, there's no matter to embalm the dead. And therefore, Chazal were amazed, astonished. How did Yosef go ahead and embalm the body of his father? So you ready to continue? Let's go. Let's now provide a few explanations that were given by our sages and the Rishonim to this behavior of Yosef. One more. To the behavior of Yosef, we'll just bring a few of them. Number one, Yosef was sorry.
You didn't answer my question.
What's your question?
They did mummify Yaakov?
Embalming is like money, yeah. But it's different because the mummies where they have them in certain areas, in a certain area. But here he's being brought to Hebron to be buried.
Mummification is a kind of embalming.
It's okay. Number one, indeed, Yosef realized his mistake, and he realized he made a mistake afterwards.
Which pasuk, sorry?
I'm just giving you explanations by the great Chazal to help us understand what he did. It's possible, number two, that Yosef felt pressure from the Egyptians. And he had to do this unusual thing in order not to insult, in order not to raise issues with the Egyptian religion, which was very common, that the VIPs are embalmed. Had he had to do what's opposite than expected, had he not done it, he could have endangered his ability to bring Yaakov to burial to Hebron. Do you follow what I'm saying? Had he not done this, some commentator, he understood that he may be giving up his permit or license to bring Yaakov to Kvura, to burial in Hebron. That's why he did it, even though it would not be not the proper thing to do. Number 3, Yaakov doesn't even want 1 day of burial in Egypt. Remember what he asked purposely? Don't bury me in Egypt. Okay? Yaakov took this into account, that he might, what? By lodging him. He's lodged. He's not bringing burial to 1 day. He's lodged outside. He's embalmed. They're crying, all this. Yosef thought that if he's going to be lodged and not brought to be burial right away for a long period, he thought, wow, what am I causing to my father's body? What am I causing to my father's body? Again, if he's not going to be embalmed, there's a period of mourning, national mourning, for so many days. What's going to happen to the body? Decompose. That's called bizayon, disgracing the honor of the body of the dead. We have a mitzvah not to disgrace. That's one of the reasons why post-mortem operations are not permitted, according to, in many cases, in halacha, Shulchan Aruch Yeridea. Why?
So no
Because
autopsy?
I didn't say, right? We don't do autopsies. Why? Because it's called bizayon of the body of the dead. Yosef is taking into account there's going to be a lengthy duration of time until we leave to go to Hebron. And he thought, wow, if this is going to happen, it's going to be a bizayon, a disgrace to the body of his father. By the way, what about the bodies of Avraham and Yitzchak? Chazal say that there was no decay in their bodies because they were so special. One of the reasons why, because they were brought to burial right away after they died. Or the Kedushav, Marat HaMachpelah, aided in preserving them. But you know what? Can you say the same thing is going to happen automatically to Yaakov in Mitzrayim? He wasn't sure. And therefore he went ahead and embalmed the body. That's 2 or 3 reasons so far. A 4th reason, it's brought by one of the commentaries, Yaakov suspected the Egyptians will turn Yaakov himself into, he's going to be idolized. They're going to turn him into an idol, avodah zarah. Why? Like you said, because in his merit, the hunger, the rav, the famine stopped in Mitzrayim 5 years before its time. When the Egyptians will see the body of Yaakov not decaying for such a long time without embalming, do you get this? Avraham and Yitzchak, Chazal say their bodies didn't decay. If the body of Yaakov does not decay without embalming, certainly the Egyptians are going to hold him as a what?
Hostage?
As a god. As a god. That's what they're going to think. He's not a Ben Adam. He's an Elil. He's a god. From here, Yosef thought the best thing to do is keep his body preserved. Let them think only because of all these liquids and spices that are being injected. So according to this, Yosef did not make a mistake by embalming his father. And he was not punished for this. In Chazal, we don't see any punishment. And he did what he had to do, according to these explanations. Questions or comments now?
You answered my question.
You have amazing patience. Okay, other questions, gentlemen? So we're going to stop here. Tomorrow, Be'ezrat Hashem, I hope to relate to certain matters